Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so this chapter picks up in probably, at least to me, the most badass way that it possibly could. Picking up where we left off with Zora and Nero, mostly just Zora in this chapter because I don't think Nero really does much in the beginning of it. But picking up where we left off with them defending Asta against Lucifero. And honestly, these first like 3 or so pages, to me at least, where Zora fighting off 1v1 against Lucifero was just probably the most impressive thing that we've seen so far. Because I mean, alright, since Lucifero's manifested, we've had impressive chapter after impressive chapter, you know, just hit after hit with each chapter that the boss put out. You know, starting off with Asta fighting off against him 1v1 and Asta showing that he doesn't stand a chance against him. Having the captain show up to protect Asta for 2 whole chapters and them even not standing a chance against him. Then knocking Asta getting back involved, or no, actually getting involved in the fight. Teaming up with Meryl Yona, still not standing a chance. And then we had Asta and Nock trying to take Lucifero down with just 1 hit, and when that didn't work, we probably had the most hyped moment of the entire arc so far, with Yami finally getting re-involved in the fight after about 2 years of being absent by blocking Lucifero's shot that was going to kill Nock right there. And even still, with all that said and done, even still, I still think I might like this moment right here with Zora facing off against Lucifero by himself. Even though he doesn't end up really doing all that much, this moment to me probably might be my favorite of this fight so far. Because we get to see this moment where not only does Zora tank the punch, like his trap magic is impressive, but I didn't think it would be something that could withstand Lucifero's power. And the way Lucifero was kind of monologuing after their brief encounter was over, it kind of seems like if Zora didn't have his grimoire, he definitely would not survive this. But still, the fact that Zora not only uses trap magic to tank Lucifero's shot, but use that magic to transfer all that power into his fist and then traded blows to Lucifero without taking any damage. I mean, okay, not taking no damage. You could definitely tell that his hand's a little bit bruised, about as much as you would expect it to when you punch something. But still, he squared up against the King of Devils, Zora, probably one of the more weaker members of the Black CLover gang, or the Black Bulls. And I mean, yeah, Zora didn't end up winning this fight, but he also didn't lose either. So that, you know, that's saying something. That's really impressive right there. And if I'm being honest, I'm having a hard time figuring out if I like this moment better or if it's the Magna vs. Dante moment that's better, because both of these fights are just in the same class. Like, they're both 2 characters who are more on the weaker side of the main cast, fighting off against characters that are way out of their league. And the only reason I'm kind of giving Magna's fight the edge is because he fought against Dante and actually beat him. But at the same time, Lucifero is the, like, pretty much, as far as we're concerned, the main villain, the final villain of the series, and Zora traded blows with him and didn't die. So yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of stuck on which one I do like better. Anyway, moving on from that moment, then we move on to Nock and Yami showing up and taking over the fight, telling them basically, hey, you guys did your best, let us take over from here. And the 2 of them just kind of use their combination shadow and dark magic in perfect unison. Like, this is kind of like how we got to see back in Fairy Tail, all of you people actually read and watched Fairy Tail. Back when we got to see Gray and Juvia combine their magics multiple times throughout that series, and how perfectly they could actually work together when they did that. That's exactly how I felt when I was reading this chapter, watching the 2 of them combine their magic. Because it really seemed like their magics played off each other perfectly. In fact, we even get to see that by combining it with Yami's dark magic, Nock's magic zone, that like playground thing they tried to use against Lovenama that just instantly got defeated, we see an improved version of that in this chapter, and we see that by doing that, they actually managed to put up a pretty decent fight against Lucifero by not creating shadow clones of himself, using that magic to attack Lucifero relentlessly. And while that was going on, Yami charged up an attack, and the 2 of them combining their abilities actually managed to do a pretty decent amount of damage to Lucifero in consideration to what we've been able to do to him so far, which is basically only Asta's being able to cut off part of his horn. In this chapter, we actually get to see the 2 of them actually land a scratch on him that actually makes him bleed. And this is the first time that we got to see Lucifero bleed, besides back when he actually pricked his hand or his finger on Asta's sword just by testing out his curiosity. So the only time we actually see him prior to this with Lucifero getting any real damage was when he did it to himself. So the fact that they were actually able to scratch him in this chapter and actually cause him to bleed is really impressive, but you know, with Lucifero's personality, that just meant that it pissed him off. Because as soon as he realizes that he's bleeding, and by the way, the second Gates Devil, which I'm blanking on his name right now, but he actually seems pretty impressed by the fact that they actually managed to do that to him in this chapter. But once Lucifero realizes that they actually managed to draw blood from him, he kinda ends up praising them in this chapter, which kinda gave me the same kind of vibe that we got from Megakula when she was fighting against everyone. Although there's a huge difference, because you can tell back during those chapters, during that fight, that Megakula was kind of praising everyone because of the fact that she had a genuine interest in the strength that humans had. while as opposed to Lucifero, he's doing it out of pure hate and spitefulness. Because as soon as he gets done praising them, he goes on to say that he's going to kill them, everyone they love, and the entire human race. So this might be the most pissed off we've seen Lucifero so far, and this is, for good reason, because they actually managed to do some serious damage to him. And at the end of the chapter, like I mentioned, he said he's going to actually unleash his full power against them, which we get to see in the form of a brand new transformation from him, which was a little disappointing because I might have missed a few pages. Maybe the site that I read it on didn't actually have the full chapter, but we don't actually get to see, as far as I'm aware, the actual transformation in this chapter. We just get to see him saying that he's going to transform into his full, or he's going to unleash his full power. Then when we get to the very end of the chapter, the last page, we get to see his transformation. Which, I mean, it definitely looks cool. We get to see that the swirls, like the squiggles that he had all over his body from his incomplete manifestation, centered onto his chest and parts of his arms. So that's definitely a better look for him. I actually dig this look a lot better than his original design. Although, there's no confirmation in this chapter if this is him 100% manifesting, or if he's just unlocking his full power at 50%. Either way, this new design is actually pretty badass. I just wish we got to see him actually transform into it. And then we get to the last 2 or 3 pages of the chapter where we find out that Nero used her sealing magic to heal up Asta. It's not as effective as what most of healing magic usually is, but it did seemingly get him up to, I would want to say, like maybe 60% health. And we also see that Yuno's getting back up, which is actually pretty impressive because he took a pretty big hit 2 chapters ago, and Mimosa didn't heal him because she's out of mana right now, so he's getting up just by pure willfulness at this point. But yeah, the 2 of them are getting back up, they're getting involved in the fight, and the chapter ends with us seeing the 2 sets of best friends, the 2 sets of kind of like brothers, basically teaming up in order to take down Lucifero, which is cool. I'm definitely hyped by the fact that we get to see these 4 characters teaming up together in order to take him down. But it brings up the question, if they could barely land a scratch on him prior to this, now that he's actually unleashed more power, how do they ever hope to stand against him? I mean, yeah, there are kind of a number of ways we actually have to explore in order for them to defeat Lucifero in the next chapter, because as of right now, we haven't fully explored this brand new power up that Yami's gotten from the demon magic kind of changing its body a little bit. So maybe there's something there that Tabata could actually explore in order to take down Lucifero. Obviously, we could get a power boost for Asta and his double union, if he actually is able to access that again. Or maybe it just kind of comes down to other characters getting involved in a fight like Noel or the Spirit Guardians or any of the captains getting back up and distracting Lucifero long enough for Yami, Asta, and Yuno to use their magic that actually does stand a chance of actually damaging Lucifero to land some killing blows on him. But even with those possibilities, I still have a hard time believing that these 4 characters, with how much they struggled so far to actually do any damage to him, barely landing a scratch on him, how can they possibly hope to defeat him now that he's powered up? Especially since there might be a possibility that he might be getting another power boost very soon, because by the fact that him pointing out the Grimoire in this chapter kinda foreshadows the idea that he might be getting a Grimoire in the next chapter or 2, definitely before this arc's over. He might end up getting one, which is going to boost his power even more, because as of right now, without that Grimoire, he can't use magic. He can only use his actual latent abilities, so like his gravity magic and his actual strength. Other than that, he can't use any actual magical abilities. So once he gets a Grimoire, he's going to even be more powerful. And that just brings up the question, how would they ever hope to defeat him then? Which really leads me to think that this is definitely not the final arc, because we still haven't even gotten the second Gate Devil involved in the fight just yet. So there's definitely more to come for the series, which really has me thinking, in my opinion, that even if in the next chapter or 2 they actually manage to defeat him with the help of other characters, or even if it's just these 4 characters alone defeating him, they're not going to kill him. It's definitely going to end up leading to the second Gate Devil and him escaping, and then at the very end of the series, he's going to show back up after fully manifesting, possibly getting a Grimoire to power boost him up even more, and then after the main characters getting a major power boost themselves, then we're going to revisit this fight with possibly other characters involved as well, and then we're going to finally defeat Lucifero at that point. But as of right now, I definitely don't think he's going to be defeated in the next chapter or 2, definitely not by the end of this arc. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I really do hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, please drop me a like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Comment down below what you guys thought about the chapter, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.